Hi there, I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, a vlog podcast thingy. And this is episode, I think, 35. And today is January 23rd, 2022. I'm not quite used to saying that. But there we are nonetheless. The weather in Wichita, Kansas of late, over the past couple days, has been rather warm. In fact, we got to about 60 degrees today here in late January. Just absolutely crazy. Took a little trip out of the house today to nowhere in particular, just kind of went driving around. Went to a sort of a lookout point to kind of look out over the Flint Hills. The Flint Hills is a natural prairie grass preserve here in central Kansas, which preserves the prairie tall grass that used to stretch from Texas all the way up to the Dakotas throughout the central section of the United States. It's where the buffalo used to roam and graze and get fat. And so there is sort of a preserve of that natural ground, that natural land here near Wichita in what is called the Flint Hills. So it's really lovely, even in the depth of winter, where it is a very brownish, grayish, tannish color. Nothing green and lush, but still really quite lovely for the here at the end of January. It was nice to get out of the house. I hadn't been out of the house in over a week due to the COVID pandemic, especially the Omicron variant rearing its ugly head here in this area. So due to the large number of the infection rate going up so dramatically here, that I have chosen to basically sequester until the numbers go back down and things get back to what I'm going to consider is the new normal, which is maintaining a level of social distance, wearing my mask when in public, and yeah, and that's kind of how things are going to be from this point forward at least for me, for the foreseeable future. So what have I been doing as I have been holed up in my home since it's almost been 3 weeks since I recorded anything and put it up online? And the answer is a lot of work, a lot of things going on at work. I had a week-long conference that I was facilitating. So that took a lot of time. And then this past week was basically trying to get caught up from being out of my standard work norm for the week. So last week was extremely busy. So not a lot of time for knitting and getting caught up in that respect. But there have been things going on in my little knitting corner of the world. And there have been things going on in my dyeing. So I was able to get caught up on a little bit of dyeing over the past 3 weeks as well. So we'll talk about all these things. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So finished objects. There are none. Okay, so what about the non-finished objects? Well, I'm kind of back in that mode of things are just going at their own pace, and they are not coinciding with the pace that I want to record on. So no finished objects, but we can talk about some things that are in progress. So I'll go in chronological order as to when I would cast them on. So the first work in project I have, and I'm going to have to refer to my notes because I don't remember what it's called as many times as I've mentioned it to some other folks. It is called the Collective Shawl by Joji Locatelli. It is a asymmetric shawl that is just an absolute delight. So before I show you my rendition of this, or at least where I'm at, let me show you the pattern page on Ravelry. So here is what that looks like. It is this lovely narrowish asymmetric shawl with, as you can see, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that right in there is brioche. So we have brioche striping going on with this shawl pattern. So there we have it. So what? Ooh, I thought it was kind of a weird thing going on there. So what we have is I am using some Mount Carmel yarns, some one-of-a-kind experimental yarn that I'm playing with, and scrap sock yarn. So it is a fingering weight shawl. And here's where I am so far. So what you can tell about this shawl is it goes along in a base color. It is a one skein of this base color, and then as many other either mini skeins or leftovers that you want to include. So I have some leftovers that I'm playing with in here, and what you can see is on one side of the shawl, it's one, you get the brioche of one side, and then on the other it's reversed. So each side of the shawl you see both the both aspects of that brioche, which is really quite fun. So as you can see, I'm about, I don't know, maybe a third of the way done, and I'm really loving how this is knitting up. It's a lot of fun to see the interplay of those colors. So that is going along quite nicely. I haven't knit on this in probably a week, no, probably 2 weeks. And the reason for that is the next work in progress. So I started this, and then I realized, oh, I have to get cracking on this other work in progress. And the second work in progress is my, one moment here, we're going to get over to it, is my Slipstravaganza by the indomitable Stephen West. And so here is his version of the Slipstravaganza shawl. This is what I am in the midst of creating. And so here's where I'm at with Mr. Slipstravaganza. So I picked, this had been sort of resting. It was not, it was resting in wait for a friend of mine who is also knitting the Slipstravaganza, although hers is a continuation from last year's knit along. She was not quite done with it, and she kind of got stalled in the middle. So I said, hey, I'll cast it on, we can do it together. And so here's where I am so far. I am so very near unto the end of, I guess that's section 3, but it's those angles. And for me, it's not angles. What I see, what I see are the Mogan David, the Stars of David, the Star of David pattern in that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But so that's where I'm at so far. I'm liking how I'm liking the colors. I'm liking how this is playing. So this one has been resting again. Because during this past week, I realized I was really quite behind on my activities that I am doing for the collaboration project on YouTube that I'm doing with Inbal Gross, Nico Duke, and Jen Lampen, who make up the show Knittergy, which I'm involved in. I hope you've seen the episodes. There are 3 episodes out now, so if you haven't had an opportunity to watch those, I highly encourage you to go back and start from the beginning. They are all somewhat interconnected, although if you just watch the last one, that's fine too. So the most recent one just came out this past week. So in each of these episodes, we are given a challenge to work on in the interim between shows, and then we show what we've done for that challenge when we come back. So the challenge for this past that was assigned in this past episode, I'm like, oh my gracious, I'm really far behind. I've not done anything on that, so I started cracking on that. It's a really interesting challenge that I had no idea what I was going to do. When I finally came up with something, the interesting thing is I both am and am not using yarn that I have dyed, but it is not yarn that is mine. I'm over dyed some knit crate yarn to meet my needs, and things that I decided during the episode, I have since made some alterations to my direction that I was going, and I'm doing some other things. So, but the only thing I can show you at this point, because it really technically is for us right now, a mystery project, but I can show you my colors, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you my colors. And yes, these colors are a bit on the out there side of things, so that's where I am stretching. So 1, 2, 3, boom, there's oh wow, those are really blown out. So let me come back here. As you can see, there's this orange, there's this green, and there's this blue color that are making up the color range that I am playing with. So yes, I am doing a color type of color play. I can tell you nothing more about the project other than those are the colors, and 2 of them were over dyed by myself to get to the shades that I was looking for. And the other one is as it came. The yarn is Audine Wools by Knit Crate, and the base is called, the base is called Sleek. Oh, there we go. Audine Wools Sleek. And the orange is called, I don't remember what the orange is called. It is a very, very bright color in person. Let me see if I can get you those color choices from, man, it just doesn't want to open. There we go. Okay, so the orange is called Bliss. The green in its origin was called Unwind, but I overdyed it to a slightly darker shade than what it came in. And then the blue started out as a very light blue called Utopia, and it is now this dark blue, which was actually supposed to be turned into periwinkle, but it didn't happen. It went much darker than I intended, but I like where it wound up, so that's where we're going. That's as much as I can tell you about that project. Man, I really wish I could tell you more. It's really kind of looking cool. But there it is. It is that project. I can say nothing more about. So those are the 3 works in progress that I have that are active. Do I have some other projects that are inactive that need to be attended to? Yes. Did I have intention on working those in January? Yes. Did life get in the way? Yes. So there's still some wintry projects like my flax sweater, who that is keeps calling my name and saying, "Hey, when are you going to pick me back up?" I also have a blanket that wants to be finished as well. And if for no other reason that I want those cables back and those needles back to do other projects. So yeah, there we go. That's what I've been working on in terms of my works in progress. Um, Man, it feels like I've just gotten very little traction on any of my knitting projects, but I've been knitting almost daily. I took a couple of days off, but um, yeah, I think a lot of it was um, the design process for my mystery project. Really, I am coming to some really serious understandings about me and being a designer, and it does not come easily for me. It is not a natural process for me. Um, so that leaves me to um, now go talk a little bit more about Mount Carmel Yarns. What's been going on with those guys? Well, some dyeing has been going on. So we'll start off with new colorways that are going to be coming out into the shop here in probably about a week. Now, if you remember back in December, I was working on a series of shawls for my coworkers based on colors that they chose. And well, those colors that they chose have now become colorways that I am going to put up in the shop because I really did enjoy each colorway that was created. So let me start with these three new colorways that are going to be coming out probably at the end of next week. That's my goal. We'll see what this week brings, but that's my intention, is to bring some of these out. The first one is called Chesed. Maybe I can put it down here, how it's spelled. Chesed is a Hebrew term which means loving kindness, and it is truly a principle of how to behave in society towards one another with chesed, with loving kindness. So with February, and February 14th being Valentine's Day, the month of love. So this is as it gets blown way out, but if I put it way back out here, you can sort of see it is a gradient pink, and that just blows way out. Maybe you can kind of see it like that. So you can see the gradient that's going on. So it's a very, very light pink in the center going out to a very hot fuchsia-ish magenta on the outside. So very fun. I'm selling this as a cake, not a skein. So it will come to you caked up. So you can really get more of the sense of that gradient. The light will be on the inside. The dark will be on the outside. And so there's that. Chesed. The next one is a colorway that I am calling Avuka, which means torch in biblical Hebrew. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a torch. You've got the flames at the top and purple, and sort of a gradient purple towards the bottom of the skein. But here's what it looks like unwound. Let me just kind of pop this open for you so you can see we've got that orange going on in one section, in one central section, with the purples on both sides, or if you want to call it this way, maybe it looks the same in this direction. Purples towards the middle with orange. But anyway, you can see what's going to happen is we have a repeating colorway, which means we're going to have pooling and flashing and micro striping going on between the oranges and the purples. So that will be super, super fun to see that play out. And when I knit with this, I really loved the result that came out of it. It's really quite fun and pretty. So avuka, torch. I kind of think of it as, especially in these dark days, something bright and cheery to light the way. We have the royalty of the purple giving us that an elevated mindset, a mindset of going forth boldly and with confidence, ruling our own selves with intention, with the light of intention, I guess one could say, leading the way in these dark times. So, avuka, and the final colorway that is, well, one of the final colorway in that trilogy that is coming to the shop, I am calling Tikkun Olam, or to repair the world. Tikkun Olam has, this is a reinterpretation of the original Tikkun Olam that I dyed for my project that I knit for my coworker. But it has the basic same characteristics. We have a foresty green going to a brilliant blue with some lovely teal in the middle. And so this one I am calling Tikkun Olam, repair the world. It comes from a Reform Jewish concept that God left the world incomplete, and that man, you and I, human beings, are here to complete creation, and that God completes creation of the world and all that is in it through us, and that we are here, that where the world is broken, our job is to repair the world, Tikkun Olam. And that even though we may never complete the work, neither is it ours to desist from. So we must always strive for the perfection of the world through Tikkun Olam, the repairing of the world. So that are those three colorways. They are rich, they are dark, they are intense. And so those are coming into the shop soon. I have a couple of experimental colors, some one-of-a-kinds that are going to be popping into the shop as well. Like this is simply a one-of-a-kind with some dark, deep browns on a white base. And then there's some purples and blues that are coming together on one of my high twist bases that I was playing with. I have a couple of skeins of this colorway, and if you've watched followed me on Instagram, I kind of popped these up towards, I think, the end of July, maybe early January. I don't remember, because I was like, I don't know how I feel about them. And it was just kind of some experiment that I was doing with some color. And I really, over the past few weeks, I have really grown to like it. And I am calling this Flint Hills. because it reminds me of the yellows and the muted greens and the grays of the Flint Hills in winter. So I'm calling this the Flint Hills, and it is a very limited colorway that I have, only on a couple on my high twist base, but I really like it, so I'm going to be throwing that into the shop as well. So those are the things that are coming. Now I have another couple skeins, and I'm going to grab a second. That are currently only on my Merino DK base, which is a 100% Merino base. And I think I've decided on the name, and I believe this is what I'm going to call it. It is this colorway. I'm going to kind of bring it back out here a little bit, which is a very, I'm going to call it a rich brown, dark-ish colorway with all sorts of different brown tones and tans in it. There are some reddish browns, there are some black brown, there's some grayish browns and some yellowy browns in here, but it's all a bunch of brown based colors. And I am going to call this colorway Tzedek, justice. Tzedek is the Hebrew term for justice. And it is based on my feelings this past Martin Luther King Jr. observation or holiday, which was last weekend, and the celebration was on Monday. So again, lots of colors that to me represent the diversity of color in our world, and that it's not all beigeish white, but there's a rich diversity in our world that we must embrace and celebrate, because, and also the idea that we don't all think the same, we don't all have the same points of view, and that's a good thing, and we should celebrate those things as well. So I'm calling this justice, with the idea that justice for all should be something we strive for all colors, for all creeds, and for all belief systems, that there should be justice. So that will be going up in the shop next week as well. Those are only right now on my DK base. So it's not going to be a huge drop of yarn, but it is going to be a drop of yarn nonetheless. And it's been a while since I put some new stuff up at the shop, so please go check that out. I think I'm also going to include some stitch markers that I have created. Let me see which ones I will include. Those aren't them. Maybe not those. I don't know. Check out my shop, see if I include any stitch markers. I do hope to include some just for fun. Okay, so there's my shop update. Well, it's a shop update to come. So you've seen the colors. Now you just have to wait for me to get them actually into the shop. Yeah, so that's what's coming up there. Okay, so what else have I been up to? Um, Big things happening? No, not really. Nothing big happening. I kind of told you all my, kind of the big stuff that's been going on. Work's been busy. Um, so what have I been watching? I've been actually watching quite a bit. I have been watching um, Disney's The Book of Boba, which is the series that they have created around Boba Fett. It follows his activities after being eaten by the Sarlacc in on Tatooine, and how, of course, there's the a brief telling of how he got out of the Sarlacc, and then what he did after that. How he was, in a sense, robbed by the Jawas and um, saved by the Sand People, and then eventually um, took over Jabba the Hutt's crime empire, or crime syndicate on Tatooine, and sort of the trials and tribulations of what it means to do that. So that's been a very interesting show to watch. Finished up Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Was really good. I'm really looking forward to the second season of that when it comes out. What else have I watched? I've been watching This Is Us with my husband. We have watched that from its inception and beginning, and this is its final season, and so things are wrapping up. Kinda, not really. There's still a lot of potential things of what may or may not happen, in terms of that show. Oh, okay, yeah. So here's the one that's really kind of rocked our world for my husband and I, and that was, we watched the 60th Disney animated film called Encanto. Now, I know maybe we're behind the eight ball on this one. We don't keep up with everything. We're over 50. But oh my God, if you have not seen Encanto, find your way to this movie. It is so delightful. The music is wonderful. The story is poignant and touching. And I don't know who was cutting onions while I watched that show, but onions were being cut in a big way. So really enjoyed it. That soundtrack has been playing in my mind and in our home for the last 3 weeks. We're really enjoying it quite a bit. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you've already watched it, go watch it again. I think it's that good. I think it's one of the best animated films and best animated stories that Disney has put out in several years, in quite a while. Since maybe the original Frozen, I don't know, maybe even back further to Beauty and the Beast. To me, that's how significant this piece of work is. It's sort of Beauty and the Beast groundbreaking for me. That's how much I enjoyed it. Oh, what else have I been doing? I have been Duolingoing. In fact, I just had a reminder that I should be doing some. I have been relearning Spanish. You would think I would be trying to learn Hebrew, but I think where I live here in South Central Kansas, there is actually a very large Hispanic population, and plus I live very near unto the Southwest, where the the Hispanic population is quite large. I think I'm a firm believer that large swaths of the United States should be bilingual in Spanish, and other large swaths of the United States should be bilingual in French. Um, but that's just my opinion. So, because I'm of that opinion, I'm trying to brush up on my Spanish, which I took when I was in high school. Of course, didn't many of us, but I took Spanish in high school, yet really never was fluent. You would think I would have picked it up, but not really. And then when I was in college, I studied German. Um, Not sure why. I just decided to study German. So now I am studying Spanish using Duolingo. It's a really quite a delightful educational tool, which seems to be working because I'm kind of remembering and picking up quite a bit of it. Although, really, the only thing I can do right now is order a blue dress at a store. Don't know when I'm going to use that, but I'm holding out for that moment. Um, yeah. What else have I been up to? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the extent of my activities over the past few. Oh, of course, as soon as I say that, something pops into my brain and into my line of sight that tells me, no, yet there is something else that has occurred. So in December, I decided it is time to get on to a. Okay, so back up just a moment. Stay with me. My mind's a little scattered. So a couple years back, I joined Knit Crate. It's a subscription yarn service which brings you yarn every month. And I have been increasingly disappointed with the colorways. The bases have been interesting and odd and fun, and I haven't always chosen to purchase them because the colorways are stale. They are very basic and weren't driving me to say, yeah, I have to have that. So, and I have been wanting to get a subscription yarn that makes me go, ooh, every time I open the package. Trilogy Yarns has, for a long time, always had some really interesting and wonderful yarn clubs that she produces. Nancy over at Trilogy Yarns. I say that as though I know her. I don't know her. And I had never purchased any yarn from Trilogy Yarns until she said, hey, I'm doing a Broadway musical based yarn club. And so I finally said, I'm going to jump onto that bandwagon. And my first club yarn for the Broadway Musical Club came in this last week. And I thought about just holding on to it and opening it here. And I was like, nope, I want to know what this looks like. Nancy is an amazing yarn dyer. Let me just put it that way. She has an amazing yarn dyer. And she has this absolutely deliciously feeling, and that mixing my metaphors there. But, you know, it's a delicious yarn base called Plush, which is her MCN, her merino cashmere nylon base. It is so soft. It is so delectable. And her dyeing is gorgeous. So, the first movie that she featured is West Side Story. This is a movie poster from the period when it came out. West Side Story came out in I think it was in the end of the 1950s, early 1960s is when it came out on Broadway. The movie, which won Academy Awards, I think was later in the mid 60s. But so there is the front of that. So you can imagine what the colorway is going to look like. And spoilers for those of you who may not, who may have subscribed to this particular club and have not received it, look away, stop right now, because I'm going to show the yarn. Here it is. 1, 2, 3, boom. Look at that. Look at that bright red and pink and the purples and the blues and the greens and just the gorgeousness of it all. And there's some browns up in here. Oh, it is really this in a yarn. Absolutely wonderful. I couldn't be more thrilled. Have no idea what I'm going to do with this yarn. It doesn't matter. I have it and I'm loving it. And it'll probably make a lovely pair of socks or an interesting one skein shawl. In that, she included a thing of eucalyptus eucalyptus. So fun. And a little extra little tool, a pair of scissors that have a little cover thing on it. Wonderful. So I am so absolutely mind boggled by her colorway for West Side Story. I cannot wait for February's to come in. It'll be so much fun. Now am I done? Acquisition. Had an acquisition of a piece of yarn or a little skein of yarn. Had I gotten any other skeins of yarn? No, that's it. That's the only skeins of yarn I have that are new to me, that are from other dyers. Yep, so that's it. There we are. Thank you all for tuning in. That's okay. Hey, you know, it's you whiled away almost 45 minutes hanging out with me, and that is, if you ask me, it's a good thing. So I hope you have enjoyed this little episode, seeing what I've been up to, and I hope that you are having a lovely winter season as we go through January and getting ready for the month of February, where we talk about love and all sorts of other crazy things. Yeah. So let's see, like, subscribe, share, all those good things that help grow the channel. And yeah, leave a comment in leave a little note in the comments below, letting me know what you're up to and how things are going for you. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and bring this all to a close. Thank you all so much for watching. May you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Bye.